Hi, everybody. Randy Shaver along with Kevin Gorg. This is Fantasy Huddle. Thanks for being here. This show presented by Aquarius Home Services and brought to you by 10K Construction, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Maplewood and Wayzata. All right. What's the big news this week? I've circled Brian Dable getting fired as the big news of the week. Is there anything else that you think tops that before we dive into the games for fantasy this week?
No, without a doubt, that's the biggest news. And I think it's really unfortunate and probably a little bit unfair. Jackson Dart was his guy. I heard you on the radio this morning here locally in the Twin Cities. I completely agree with your take. It never really had a chance. And unfortunate for sure. And now if you're, again, playing fantasy football, which we all are, let's see what the ripple effects are. Is Jackson Dart going to come back here and be the same effective quarterback he's been? I think he's going to be a tremendous fantasy asset moving forward.
He's in concussion protocol right now, so check with Kevin on Friday for his status in their football game this week against Green Bay. But if he's playing, obviously he's one that you've got to circle on your sheet. There weren't really any big devastating injuries this week, so I think we can kind of move into what we're looking at for games. Two teams are on the bye, the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints. So we'll start with the Vikings game, which is a noon start on Sunday. Then we'll work our way through Thursday and Sunday morning and into the rest of the schedule. But Kevin's got the Bears at the Vikings on Sunday.
Yeah, super important game for both teams. Bears are on a bit of a heater right now, although it's a little bit smoke and mirrors. They were fortunate last week to get by the Giants. On the Bears side in fantasy, Caleb Williams has become a very useful starting quarterback. And I think against the Vikings on the road inside U.S. Bank Stadium, I think you have to temper your affections just a little bit. He's had the comforts of home, and he wasn't all that great last week until the fourth quarter against, I think, a very middle of the road, if not below class New York Giants defense. So I'll start Caleb, but I don't love it. The backfield to me comes back through DeAndre Swift. Monangai is a really nice player, but Swift getting the lion's share of the work there. He's the one you want to start. Monangai's the handcuff in case Swift goes down again. He is an older back, and that is certainly possible. Odunze is the go-to receiver in this offense, but I actually think the Vikings and the under is the way to play this game. So I'm not big on the Bears this week. DJ Moore is a dart throw I would consider, but really not a lot there. Loveland, their tight end, I like a lot. They're just not consistently using him, Randy, but certainly a guy that should be on your radar. He's a big, talented kid. He's a kid with some upside. On the Minnesota side, listen, J.J. McCarthy made some mistakes last week. That's going to happen. He started 4 games in this league. Against the Bears defense, I think the Vikings are going to score some points. I think J.J. McCarthy will put up a crooked number in terms of touchdown passes. So startable, yes. Studley, not quite yet. Backfield still muddied. Again, you got Mason, you got Jones. I don't love it. Either one of those guys can do it, but I don't know how you really decide which one you're going to use. Jones, to me, looked good last week, but again, when you're splitting up those carries and those touches, I don't love it in fantasy. I think Jefferson gets right this week. He didn't look right last week. There was some frustration late in the game. I think the squeaky wheel is going to get the grease. I think Jefferson has a big game against the Bears. I don't think they can stop him. Addison also startable. Hawkinson, again, got to be frustrating for fantasy owners. He has not been a consistent performer. I don't love him, but if you're in a pinch with some bye weeks or injuries, you can use them. So I've got the Vikings in the under and kind of a 24-14 type of game, Randy.
All right, so you're very good at over-unders. I'm going to give you 2. What's the over-under on batted balls for Kevin, for J.J. McCarthy?
2.5, and I wouldn't be afraid of the over. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to handicap batted balls, but that has been his Achilles heel.
How about this one? Over-under false starts by the Vikings at home.
If they have 8 again at home, there's going to be a real problem. I mean, on the road in a lousy building. There's already
a real problem.
I know, but and again, people have to remember this kid's made 4 starts, and there are going to be issues week by week. I look back at Peyton Manning, John Elway. These are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Their first years were a complete, total disaster. It hasn't been that, but I think the 8 false starts is a bit of a red flag, and I think they've got to get the quarterback and the offensive line back on the same page. I think the Vikings are in a very good spot this week.
All right. Speaking of the Vikings, coming up in a little bit here, we're going to announce a keyword for a giveaway to the Vikings, 2 tickets to a Vikings game against the Lions on Christmas Day. Ooh. So there's going to be 4 consecutive weeks of giving out keywords on our show, and some lucky winner is going to take home 2 Vikings tickets, courtesy of Fantasy Huddle. So there you go. We'll announce that keyword in a little bit. All right, let's move on. Jets at New England. It's a 7:15 start on Thursday night. On the Jets side, they've won a couple of games. Garrett Wilson is a no-go. He's out. In fact, if I know in my leagues this week where I have him, I've dropped him. I've moved on. I just said, you know what? Even by the time he gets healthy and well, probably will not be able to help my teams at this point. And in some of my leagues, I'm kind of desperate to win right now. And so I can't have a blank roster spot. I need to be able to have some flexibility. So, but he's not going to play this week. Justin Fields under 55 yards passing in 3 of the last 4 games.
Oh my gosh. Lord.
This is the NFL. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Breece Hall, I think you got to play him. Mm-hmm. It's not super reliable. The Patriots have a good defense. The Patriots are really good. The number's 44.5, and New England's a 10.5 point favorite. So understand that New England is likely going to dominate this football game. I just think that the only fantasy person on the Jets side I would even think about is Breece Hall this week, and I kind of cringe a little bit at that. On the other side, if Ramondre Stevenson doesn't come back, he's not healthy enough to play or whatever, Travion Henderson, I think, is very playable this week. And so last 3 games, he's been averaging over 7 yards a carry, 277 yards, a couple of touchdowns, looked great last week. So I think you need to think about playing him. Certainly Drake May, by far the best player in this game, fantasy related, is Drake May. He has just been a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, regardless of the receivers. And there are multiple receivers that he's throwing to. So it's like spin the dial and pick 1 or 2 because you might get lucky. Playing him naked is probably the most efficient way to play him in fantasy. But either way, I think he's the best bet this week. And I love their defense in this game against the Jets. The way this is kind of set up, I've got the next game too. It's a Sunday morning game in Spain between Washington and Miami. The number's 47.5, and Miami's a 2.5 point favorite, which is crazy the way that they've been playing lately. But as we all know, Washington is so banged up that it kind of makes sense. McLaurin's already out. He's another guy, Kevin, that in a few of my leagues that I drafted him. I just dropped him this week. I moved on.
I don't blame you. He might not be back until December, they're saying now.
Yeah, and that just doesn't help me. I look at my seasons in like 4 game sets, and I've got 4 critical games coming up where holding on to him till December is not going to help me because I need to win now in order to get to the playoff side of things in my league. So, and I think he's definitely droppable in a lot of different places. I'm glad this game is not on the main slate. Even though the number is good, there's just really not a lot I love other than Achane. By far. I think so good. He's my number 1 running back this week. I love him this week. I wish he was on the main slate.
Yeah.
But he's really the only player that I would even think about trusting.
Not even Waddle?
Well, Waddle comes with Tua. So you got to trust Tua if you want Waddle, right?
Oh boy. Yeah. And so fair enough.
I have that combination in a few of my leagues. And so I kind of grin and bear it and hope for the best. But to me, just this game in general, Achane is really, and he's been so good lately that I just think he's the best player to play this week. Waddle, I agree. He's had 3 games over 82 yards receiving, straight games Waddle has. So they are using him. They are getting him the football. but I think Achane is the best player in that game. All right, let's get back to the noon games on Sunday. Kevin's got Carolina at Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta 3.5 point favorite here in the betting market. Over under 42.5, which is kind of a lower number. Division foes. Carolina off a really, really bad loss at home to New Orleans, where they only put up 7 points against the league's worst.
So well the previous weeks.
It kind of felt like that was the tipping point for them and making the playoffs. We'll see. I think this is a great opportunity for Atlanta, who's had a really tough schedule, to use some home cooking. So I'm not starting Bryce Young at quarterback. I'm not doing that. He stinks. There are better options. Rico Dowdle continues to be a productive RB1. Not a guy you think about right off the hop, but in daily fantasy, he's been really good. If you have him and Chuba Hubbard's available to handcuff and you've got room on your roster, strongly encourage it, because obviously running backs get banged up all the time, but Dowdle looks fantastic. Yeah. Tet McMillan's their go-to receiver. He's been very useful as well. The rest are on the bench. Coker, Leggett, no thank you. And again, that comes back to Bryce Young, who I think could struggle this week against a very underrated defense. On the Atlanta side, Penix Jr. is a quarterback. You can start him. Carolina's defense isn't great, but you're not going to love the production. I think it gets to be more of a grounded pound, which means Bijan Robinson likely going to be the focal point, and Carolina's run defense, I think, will struggle against Bijan. 4 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. This guy's a creature. He's big in the red zone. Can't stop him. London's a must start. If you've got him, a guy you can look to in daily. And Kyle Pitts has been a serviceable, not spectacular tight end. 42.5 is the number. I've got Atlanta winning this game comfortably. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 27-13, Falcons win. And again, Rico Dowdle is the one guy I want in Carolina for sure.
All right. Tampa Bay at Buffalo. It's a noon start on Sunday. The number is 50.5. Buffalo's a 5.5 point favorite. On the Bucs side, I think Igbuka is definitely startable, definitely playable. Tez Johnson, your pick last week, had a couple of touchdowns. I think that's definitely, you can play those two guys. You can stack them with Baker. I think that's definitely against the Buffalo Bills defense that is shaky at times for sure. I'm not sure about the running game. Sean Tucker got some work last week. I don't know what's going on with Irving. I keep seeing every time that he's listed as questionable, then he's out. I'm just not playing around with any of the running back situation in Tampa. So for me, on the Bucs side, I think Igbuka is definitely someone I would consider playing with Baker, and maybe even double stacking it with Tez Johnson. On the Bills side, I think they're going to be pissed off. I think this Bills game, I think this is a game where you might see them light this thing up, because they got embarrassed in Miami last week, and they're not even the favorite in the AFC East now. They're not the powerhouse that I think maybe we thought they should be or might be. We'll see. This is kind of a prove it game.
Yeah, I agree.
In a lot of ways for Buffalo. Are they the team they've been in the past, or are they heading down a slide the other way against a very good Bucs team? We'll see which team shows up, and the same can be said for Tampa too. This is also a huge game for them, regardless of fantasy thought process. Just the game in general is a very important game for them. Kincaid's got a hamstring; he's week to week. Can't count on him. Certainly, Josh Allen is super playable. I think James Cook and Allen are really the two best players on the Buffalo side. Cook is due to have a big game. He's been kind of quiet here lately. The receiving core, again, way too muddled. Shakir, yes. If I have to play somebody, probably. I know in daily he's cheap. I want a piece of this game. You'll hear me talk about that later in the show, but you got to get a piece of this game, I think, somehow,
I agree.
Some way. The number's too big. It's got blowout potential or shootout potential. I just think that it's a game that you've got to figure out, how can I slide in a piece or two of this game? Again, that number is over 50. So it's definitely something you want to concentrate on this week. All right. Houston, Tennessee. It's a noon start, and this is ugly.
Ooh, over under 39.5. When fantasy football
surprised it's
players,
that high. I'm surprised it's that high. Yeah.
Houston 7.5. Now, heck of a comeback. I'm going to give Davis Mills some props for that fourth quarter, because they looked terrible for 3 quarters, and they scored 26 points in the fourth quarter to rally and beat Jacksonville. CJ Stroud, this is week 2, so I guess with the concussion, there's a fair chance he comes back. Not a game I'm looking to do much with, though, even with CJ Stroud. Nico Collins, absolutely stud receiver, back over 100 yards last week, even with the backup quarterback. But the backfield's muddied up. Woody Marks, Chubb, you don't want any part of that. Avoid it if you can. Nico Collins is the one guy you want. CJ Stroud in a smash spot because Tennessee stinks, but will the game script allow him to do much off the concussion? You got to make sure he's playing. We'll update you on Friday. Just not a lot here you like. Cam Ward is a no-fly for me until further notice. So no chance on Cam Ward. Pollard and Spears in the backfield, no thank you on either one of those. Oyamana, the receiver, or Dyke, again, dart throws. You're not doing much with Tennessee. They're the worst team in football. They don't score. And in fantasy, you have to learn to avoid in your season long and your daily teams like the Tennessee Titans. So for me in this game, if you're going to see much, it's going to be Nico Collins related, Randy, and that's about it.
I will say this. I do like both defenses in this game.
Oh, yeah.
The number is so low.
Good point.
That, especially for like daily, Tennessee's got the lowest price defense on FanDuel this week. And to me, that's not a bad pick.
No, gives you so much more leverage.
Yes,
and this game could be 13-10.
Yeah. And they're at home. I just think that there's potential there for a good, as you said, like a 13-10 kind of a game where maybe there's a turnover or two and some sacks along the way. But I would say that Tennessee defense, Houston defense for sure, but Tennessee is something to look at too. All right. Green Bay at the Giants, noon start, 44.5. The Packers are an early 7.5 point favorite in New York. That number could flux with the news of Jackson Dart, whether he plays or doesn't play. That game Monday night was just ugly.
Awful.
Against the Eagles. The Packers are a mess on offense. And yes, Jacobs for sure can play him. I don't like anything on the pass side for Green Bay.
Tucker Kraft out. They look like a different offense. Right?
I don't even think a receiver caught a ball Monday night until the third quarter for Green Bay. If that, they're a mess right now. And I'll be honest, I look at this 44.5 and I think the Giants might kind of rally this week. There's going to be something with a coach getting fired, and I think the crowd's going to be fired up. This could be an under kind of a game in my mind. So
for sure,
there's definitely on the Packers side, Josh Jacobs is really the only player I would even consider just because of the volume that the guy gets. On the Giants side, obviously reacting to the firing of the coach and Jackson Dart. I mean, if he plays, he's the first rookie quarterback in history to have 1,400 passing yards, 300 rushing yards, and 15 total touchdowns in his first 7 career starts. Wow. That's never happened before in the NFL. He's had 5 straight games with a rushing touchdown. So if he's playing in this game, and I know the Packers defense is pretty good, but if he's playing in this game, to me, he's the best player that I'm going to play. Yep. And I'd play him naked in this game just because of all of those things I just said. I think I think the Giants might win this game. That's just my own gut feeling about this game. I think
Matt LaFleur might get fired if that happens.
The Packers are moving in the wrong direction, and I think you might see the Giants kind of rally with the coach being let go. I don't think it'll go the other way, at least not for the first week. So having looked at that, having said that, those are kind of the only 2 guys, Jacobs and Dart. The running back situation for the Giants is muddled. The receiving is muddled. There just isn't anything clear cut in a game where Vegas says the number's 44, which would tell you fantasy wise, there's some pieces to play, but they're not clear cut pieces to play. I don't think in that game. Let's go to Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. It's a noon start. And I like this game.
Here's the deal. Like I look at the last 2 games we've talked about. It's like when your lady friend wants to take you to the good earth for a meal and you walk in and Houston's playing Tennessee or Green Bay's playing the Giants. And then she gives you the green light. You get to go to like Texas Roadhouse and just pig out. This Cincy Pittsburgh game is the Texas Roadhouse, baby. They're bringing those rolls with the cinnamon butter. You got the salad, you got the steak, the big baked potato. I'm loading up on this game. I can't wait to touch this one up in fantasy. Flacco must start. He's been red hot with Joe Burrow back at practice, maybe since he gets a little juiced up here. Yep. I think Chase Brown can be fired up against the Pittsburgh defense that's been awful all year long. And then obviously Higgins and Jamar Chase, as good a 1-2 punch as there is in football. You can load them up any which way you want in fantasy. You're going to want a game like this with a total of 49.5. Pittsburgh, though, favored by 5.5, which I found to be a little on the high side. I think it's going to be a close.
The Bengals defense is so bad. I mean,
well, that's the thing. And it's just too bad because if you remember one thing from today's episode, outside of the code word for the Viking tickets, remember this. The Cincinnati's defense just gives up tight end touchdowns, 12 this year.
Right.
And now we've got this Pittsburgh team where you've got to choose from 3 different tight ends. I think Freiermuth is the guy I might take a spin on cheap in daily, but remember every week that Cincy is the giver of tight end touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers is going to feast on this secondary, a bounce back game for him in this offense. Jaylen Warren is the running back that scores every week, scores good numbers every week, and nobody talks about him. He's a great player, and he's a consistent player. You want Jaylen Warren in your daily fantasy lineup. And I think DK Metcalf, off back-to-back kind of middling weeks, I think he gets right this week against a Cincy team that literally just gives up so many points through the air, whether it's tight ends, receivers. I love this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you're going to have to score in the 30s to win this game. I'll call for Pittsburgh 33-30 over Cincinnati, and I am going to load up on this one.
All right, let's move on. Chargers in Jacksonville. It's a noon game on Sunday. 44.5 is the number. Chargers are a slight favorite at 1.5, maybe 2. Jacksonville, of course, coming off that monumental collapse against the Texans last week. On the Chargers side, McConkey, since week 5, is averaging 16 fantasy points per game. So keep that in mind as we move forward, because the first 5 weeks we were like, oh my God, this guy is just having an awful season. And Johnston was the guy, then Keenan Allen was the guy. Well, it looks like McConkey has kind of resurrected himself. Herbert is really good. Gadsden's banged up. Keep an eye out on that. If you picked him up and you're counting on him, I still think he's going to be around down the stretch for you to count on, but maybe not this week. If he's out for longer, that's a tough blow because he's proven to be a pretty good player. But there's plenty of things to stack here against Jacksonville, whose defense early in the year was actually really good. They were leading the NFL in turnovers, but not now. They are not playing well right now. And this is sometimes in the NFL, it's not who you play, but when you play them. Mm-hmm. And I think for the Chargers, this is a perfect week for them to go east, which is never easy when a West Coast or an East Coast team goes to the other coast. But I think this is a good week for them to go east because I think Jacksonville is in a world of hurt right now. So I do like Herbert. I like stacking him. And you could go a number of different ways with the receivers if you wanted to go that route. I know the number's not super high. I like your Steelers-Bengals game better. But if you wanted to be sneaky, I think you could look at this game a little bit as something like that. Vidal, I think, is certainly playable in this game too, as ETN is on the other side. There'll be some points scored in this game, and it may end up being passes inside the 5, and then the running backs get the touchdowns this week. So it could end up being that way. On the Jags side, Trevor Lawrence is just not good. I'm sorry. I think the time is up in Jacksonville. He's just not very good. He's average. Yeah. He's I agree. Just not. And so I don't really like the Jags side. I like ETN a little bit. He's been, in the last couple of weeks, he's been over 15 fantasy points each week. So, I mean, he's playable in this game.
If you look at the betting market right now, in the middle of November, as we approach Thanksgiving, the 2 betting favorites in the MVP market are Matt Stafford and Sam Darnold. Think about that for a minute. No, God, no, we didn't need him at all.
Didn't need him.
No, 14-3. Let's get rid of this guy.
Nope,
he's been unbelievable. He's been so good. And if you're playing daily fantasy, if you're playing season long, you know it. You're starting him. And if you're playing daily, this is a sneaky good spot because I think with the total at 48.5, kind of a showdown game. Rams hovering around a field goal favorite. This looks to me to be a real playoff preview. This could be a great football game.
Yep.
The backfield again in Seattle is something you want to try to avoid. Walker and Charbonnet just cancel each other out. Jackson Smith and Jigma, my goodness. You can make a case that this guy's the best receiver in football. Yeah. It really, I don't even think there's much debate right now. He's consistently the guy you want. And because of that, the other receivers in Seattle get overlooked, and rightfully so. But I like a Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigma stack almost every week, including this week. On the LA side, it's the big four for me. And you're going to have to watch a little bit of an injury update on Friday with one of the big four. But Stafford, ridiculous numbers, averaging in the last month 3.5 touchdown passes a week. That's nuts. Kyron Williams off 2 touchdowns. He's been great. Puka is top 5 for sure as far as receivers go. Devontae Adams has an injury, and that's something to monitor as the week progresses. It's still early as we record here on Tuesday, but something to watch for sure in a showdown game. Should be a lot of fun, but stick to the core players in this one. I've got the Rams winning this game somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 28-24. It should be a fun game to watch.
All right, let's go to San Francisco, Arizona. It's a 3:05 start. The number's 47.5. The Niners are 2.5-point favorites. I really like this game a lot. CMC is on pace for over 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving, which is pretty impressive considering all the injury issues he's had in his career. He's had a really nice comeback year. Mac Jones has been really rock solid. He has saved their season, basically. And there's still a long way to go in that NFC West, which is super competitive. Kittle got back on track, got a touchdown last week. Jennings is looking better. He's in the mix. They still got injuries to a lot of receivers. If they ever get healthy on the 49ers side at receiver, it could change a lot of the way we look at how San Francisco is playing. They're a little too unpredictable, I think, in a lot of different ways. You never know which team's going to show up. Especially on the defensive side. This game is 47.5. Vegas is thinking 25-23, somewhere in there, 25-22. That's a lot of points to give up. And I think it's going to go higher than that. I really think the over in this game is what to look at. So for me, I love CMC. I think you got the volumes there. He's going to get touches. I think the last time he played the Cardinals, he had 15 targets and 10 catches the last time they played him. So that in just itself, if we were just talking about that, is enough for me to want to play him. He's super expensive in daily, so you have to figure out how do you find value if you want to chase him in daily. But as a standard PPR play, he's a great play this week. On the Cardinals side, it is now clear, and they've made the decision that Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback. Kyler Murray's on the IR. Forget it. He's been the problem, right? Because Marvin Harrison has had double-digit targets ever since Brissett started playing quarterback for him, since Kyler's been out. McBride has been eating every week. I like the Arizona offense this week. I think at home, this is a big game for them. They're battling their way back to 500. I like their pass game a lot. I think it's sneaky. I like Jacoby Brissett. He is cheap in daily this week. I think this is me now. I think it's got shootout potential on both sides.
So do I.
And so I like this side of the game, and I could see, playing this game, 2 players on one side, one on the other. Find a bring back if you're going to stack one side, right? The running game for Arizona, I'm not in love with. I'm not even going to mess with it. I think it's a secondary thought for me. I just think Harrison and McBride and Brissett are the ones that I really like this week. And again, I can't emphasize enough, I do love this football game this week as far as fantasy goes. Let's go to Baltimore at Cleveland. Why is this a 3:25 start? I have no idea.
I'm with you.
Did somebody think this was a national game? I mean, that's
gross.
Wow.
Yeah, the
whatever.
total's 41.5.
Yeah.
Baltimore's favored by 8.5. So they're telling you right off the hop it's a 24 to 13 type of game. Why do we want to watch it? Baltimore's going to get the money. They're going to win the game. It just comes down to what type of game it is for us in fantasy. I don't love the game. I love some of the players, so I'm in a weird spot with this one. Cleveland's defense, especially at home, has been pesky. They've shut down some good football teams on their home field. So, yeah, Lamar, obviously, he's a stud. You're going to start him, but I'm not looking this to be some kind of 5 touchdown operation where he runs and throws a bunch of touchdowns. He'll get at least a couple. Same thing. Derrick Henry's in a good spot, but again, Cleveland's defense is legit against the run. So I don't see, kind of like last week against the Vikings, like Lamar and Henry were fine, but they weren't going to win you a game as far as fantasy goes. So start them. Don't expect a smash spot here, in my opinion. Same thing with Zay Flowers. The tight ends are Andrews and Likely. The Andrews has been getting more of the touchdowns, but I don't trust either one of them. Bateman's a dart throw. I'm not going anywhere near him. On the Cleveland side, listen, Dylan Gabriel has been the right answer for them. They've been competitive, but in fantasy, it's hard to trust him. The good thing is he runs the football. He ran for over 50 yards last week. He threw a couple touchdown passes, but he only threw for 167 yards. They're going to be in chase mode. And if you're looking for a cheap option in daily, or if you're desperate with injuries at the quarterback position, maybe you've got Danny Dimes on that bye. I don't know. He's a sneaky start for me, but not a guy that I'm like searching for. Yeah. Quinton Judkins, your guy in the backfield's been awesome. He's a really, really good running back. But again, game script, I don't know, Randy. They're going to be in chase mode. He doesn't catch a lot of footballs. He's a running back. Judy woke up last week. Still not a guy I'm going to love and trust every week, but he was awesome. Where did that come from?
I don't think he's awake now, but yes. Okay.
Well, yeah, probably not. And then this fan and Njoku thing has been a thorn in my side all year long. I'm just telling you. Njoku scored last week.
I'm trying to figure out where you're taking me for dinner for that one.
Oh, well, just hold on now. I mean, Laporta hasn't exactly ripped it up, and Njoku's got 3 TDs. So let's just.
It's pretty clear who the leader is.
Well, we'll see. You're probably right. And the Fannin thing, it's killing me. But again, 41.5. So in daily, outside of maybe sneaking a guy like Judy in, because I see Baltimore up big in this game, and I see some garbage time collection going for a guy like Judy. But again, not a game I'm going to look to stack anything at all this week.
You know, it's such an important game for Baltimore. They can get to 500 this week. It's such an important game.
Huge.
In a division that is just garbage right now. And so, I was thinking about this game today, and I wrote down Justice Hill as kind of a sneaky, gets that meaningless touchdown or whatever it might be, because he's getting work. He's getting work. And Cleveland's defense is tough. I mean, they're good. This is going to be a really physical football game. So, all right, last game in the 3:00 hour is, and on the main slate is Kansas City at Denver. It's at 3:25. The number's 44.5. Chiefs are a favorite by 3.5. Going up on the Chiefs side, going up against the Denver D, it's a huge test, no doubt. In Denver makes it even tougher. They're coming off the bye though, so they're well rested. Lots of time to game plan. They're usually really good coming off the bye. I think Mahomes and Rice and Kelsey feel like the 3 that you want. The running game's muddled. I think Hunt is probably the clear-cut guy there now. But I just think that, we're looking at those 3 guys in some shape, way, or form as far as fantasy goes. Vegas says it's a 24-20 kind of game. So if the Chiefs are at 20, you're probably getting 2 touchdowns out of that group. So, that's not a lot.
I think the Chiefs win, though. They're probably the 24, Randy. They're getting 3 touchdowns, I think.
Possibly, though. Kevin, I'm not so sure that's a guarantee that the Chiefs win this game in Denver. I just think Denver is going to be fired up for this football game. I think this is probably there's a lot on the line for them.
Well, they better play better than they did
Kansas
against the Raiders.
City, if I'm not mistaken, Kansas City is 5-4.
Yeah, it's a must-win for KC.
It's a monster game for them. But on the other side, it's a monster game for Denver because they can put them away here.
True.
They can be up by 3 games
Yeah,
in the
you're
loss
right.
column this week. So there's just a lot riding on this game. And fantasy wise, I don't really love it. There's just not, there's very recognizable pieces, but I just don't feel like it's like a must. Like I have to have
Right.
those guys. Bo Nix on the other side, sure. What are you going to get? Not quite sure. Arguably, maybe his biggest game of the season. In a number of different ways, not just for fantasy and maybe not even for fantasy, but for them as a team. They, like I said, they have a chance to put Kansas City at 500 if they win this game. The only other name I wrote down, other than Nix and Sutton, because if you're going to stack, obviously I think Sutton's the guy, is RJ Harvey. And I know it's one of those games again, right, where somebody sneaky is going to do something in this game.
I agree with that.
Yeah, somebody sneaky. The Chiefs are the kings at this, where you're counting on Kelsey. It feels like a Kelsey game, and then Gray catches like 2. It's just they're the kings, and I think Denver in this game, Harvey, maybe Dobbins, but Harvey kind of feels like he could be that sneaky spot. But it's going to be a tough physical game. Could be a field goal battle in a lot of ways here too. So if you have both kickers, I think it's a good game to have those kickers, because maybe there won't be as many touchdowns scored as we think. But that's kind of the way I'm looking at that game. All right, let's go to Sunday night. I like this game. It's going to be fun. Detroit, Philadelphia. It's a 7:20 game on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I understand why it's the Sunday night game. I wish it was on the main slate.
Yep,
49.5 total. Philly favored by 1.5. Excellent teams. This could be a preview of the NFC Championship as I look forward to the next couple of months. Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling in Detroit, and that is significant. And there's a player I'm going to talk about here in our analysis that is severely impacted on the positive side of the ledger by Mr. Campbell calling the plays. Jared Goff is a start for sure in this spot. They are likely going to have to put up some points to win this game. Philly defense can be tough, but they're going to have to throw the ball. Gibbs is a cheat code. He's like Achin. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. He's electric. If you have Jahmyr Gibbs in season long, you're loving it. In daily, again, this is kind of a standalone game, but keep that in mind. He's expensive. Yep. Montgomery's a filler. He's the backup running back. There's no doubt in my mind. So not somebody I'm going to look for in season long or daily, unless there's a spot where I think Detroit can blow somebody out. In blowout wins, he has gotten fed late in the game and scored some touchdowns. I'm on Ross St. Brown. He's top 5 every week. There's nothing to talk about there. Laporte is in a good spot here. I think Laporte is in a key game on the road where you're going to be kind of diverse with your play calling. Laporte is startable, but Jamison Williams is the guy that is most impacted by Dan Campbell calling the plays. He was awesome last week. 3 of the last 4 weeks now, he's had double-digit fantasy points after a month of doing nothing. So with Dan Campbell calling the plays in daily fantasy, he's still pretty cheap. He's a guy you could look at if you're going to maybe stack that Monday night game in a combo. For Philadelphia, it's not really complicated at all. There's a handful of guys, and they're all really good, and the rest of them just don't matter. Hurts, no-brainer. Saquon, no-brainer. Dallas Goedert, tight end you can start, no question about it. A.J. Brown, again, you're going to start him, but he hasn't been great.
Probably not going to start him in daily, but yeah, if you have him in season long,
your hands are tied.
To play him in season long. Yeah.
Devonta Smith is having a really good middle part of the season here. He was awesome at Green Bay in a game where really nobody did anything. He was the bright spot on the Philadelphia side. 49.5 total tells you that there are some players you're going to want to use. But again, this isn't in the main slate, so you're going to have to attack this either alone as a standalone game or in maybe that Monday package.
All right. Last game of the week is Dallas at Las Vegas, Monday night, 7:15. The number's 49.5. The Cowboys are 3.5. I really wish this game was on the main slate, but
me too.
It is not. Cowboys are coming off the bye. They're favored in Vegas. Love the matchup. Fire up Dak, Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson, all of them. Play them all. Javonte Williams is sneaky good too. Vegas is so going the other direction.
Yeah.
This is probably their biggest game of the year, just to kind of they're in national game. It's probably their Super Bowl, just because of the implications of being on national TV. But This is a great setup for Dallas. Now, it's also not a bad setup for the Vegas Raiders either, because Dallas's defense has been so bad. They're coming off that tough loss to Denver on Thursday night, a game where they had chances. Genty is well rested. That will help against an improved Dallas defense coming off the bye. But it's a tough game too for Vegas in a lot of ways, because they're so disjointed right now. They just don't have any offensive momentum at all. Bowers is back. He's definitely playable. I think if Vegas had a quality backup, I don't think we'd see Geno at this point. I think they would have moved on, but they really don't. And so Geno is going to be there for them this week. And again, because it's national TV, I think you'll see Vegas give their very, very best effort, whatever that looks like. So I think Bowers and Genty, and it's what we've been talking about all year, right? They're kind of, it's a focus fantasy. It's just those two guys. Because everybody else outside of that really doesn't do much.
No.
So there's pieces in this game. It's a standalone Monday night single game. There's a lot of different ways you can rotate the players and make it work. It just depends on how you think the game's going to go. But again, Vegas is saying this is going to be a 27-23 kind of a game in favor of Dallas. So there you go. All right, let's get to the most important thing I have to do in this entire show. We're excited to announce that we're giving away 2 Vikings tickets for the December 25th game to our Fantasy Huddle listeners. Each week, we're going to share a code word during this podcast. To enter, simply fill out our Google form with your name, date, and that week's code word. You can submit a new form each week with a new code word for extra chances to win these tickets. You can find the Google form in the description or on any of our social media pages. And the lucky winner will be announced on December 10th. So the code word for this week, Kevin, is
Haymaker.
Haymaker.
Gotta love it.
Haymaker. Haymaker. So enter that into the Google form, and good luck this week. And of course, we'll be back over the next 3 weeks to give you 3 more code words for your chance to win Vikings tickets on Christmas Day.
What fun.
All right, let's go to our PPR lineups now. I'll start. I'm going to go with Drake May at quarterback.
Stud.
I just think that he's just been so good all season long. I love him against the Jets this week. They are now the favorites to win the AFC East, and I think they know it, they feel it, they sense it, and they're playing like it too. I like McCaffrey. I talked a lot about him in this podcast, and HN. I think those are the 2 easy locks at running back for PPR. Drake London, I really like this week in that Atlanta-Carolina game. Pickens, I love. You got to get a piece of that Dallas game against Vegas on Monday, I think. I love Ferguson in that game. So those are my 2 players from that game as PPR choices. And I think James Cook for Buffalo against Tampa, because the number is so high and you got to get it. I mean, Josh Allen or James Cook are really the only 2 guys in that Buffalo side of things that I would even touch. So these are the guys, if I had all the money in the world and I could put a lineup together.
Wouldn't this be fun?
Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Drake London, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, and James Cook. All right.
I'm a little bit similar at the top. I also went with Drake May. I just think right now he is in such a good spot. He's so confident. And against the Jets, I think he's going to mow him down early with a bunch of touchdown passes. Like you, I used Achane. He is a cheat code in fantasy. Whether Miami wins or loses, this guy produces every single week. I use Genty. I think Genty's in a great spot against the Dallas defense that has not proven to stop anybody on the ground all year long. And I wanted 2 pieces of that game in my best PPR, so I went CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's in a smash spot. The Raiders defense has struggled against top receivers from the opposition all year long, except for the Denver game. They did shut down Cortland Sutton, but this is a different level of receiver in CeeDee Lamb. Puka Nacua, keep an eye on Devontae Adams being hurt, because Puka Nacua has proven he doesn't need another guy. He'll be blowing up no matter what. And Trey McBride, to me, is tight end 1 in fantasy football. He is the best tight end in fantasy football. I wanted to use him. And my flex player is Jahmyr Gibbs. So I love what Gibbs brings to the table with Dan Campbell calling the plays. He's getting a ton of work in the red zone. May at quarterback, Achin and Genty are my running backs. Lamb and Puka are my receivers. McBride's my tight end. Jahmyr Gibbs at the flex position.
All right, let's go to our daily fantasy lineups. We're using FanDuel pricing, and I'll go first. I told you earlier, I love the Arizona game. So
Me too.
My quarterback is Jacoby Brissett.
Unbelievable.
Brissett is that we never look at each other's
we don't ever
before we do this.
We never talk about it.
Jacoby Brissett at 7,000. My two running backs this week, I love the Cincinnati game and the Pittsburgh game. And Kevin talked about it at length, and I totally agree with everything he said. Chase Brown at one of my running back spots at 7,200. I went with Cook as my highest price player of the week. And I think there's a number of different ways you can go with the high price player, if that's the way you want to play it this week, whether it's Jamar Chase or whatever. I think Cook will be under. I don't think people will look at him as much as they will Jamar Chase or CMC or JSN. So I went with Cook, thinking the ownership will be less on him this week. My receivers, DK Metcalf, underpriced at 7,400. Mm-hmm. And I say underpriced because they're going up against a terrible Bengals defense. And I agree that Aaron Rodgers, I think, will get well this week. Marvin Harrison, I'm stacking him with Brissett. He's at 6,500. And again, for the talent level, that's too low, in my opinion. He's still got opportunities to have a big game. I'm bringing back Juwan Jennings from that game as my third receiver. He's at 6,200. My tight end is McBride. I agree with you. He's the best tight end to play, especially on the FanDuel main slate this week. He's 7,700. He's the highest priced tight end. But the way they're playing, and if I'm right, and it's a shootout, and they're throwing the ball back and forth, he's going to get his and likely a lot more. Because I spent all of that, here's what I did. My defense is the Giants at 3,000. Now, the Giants, they're playing against the Bears or the Packers. Week, right? The Packers look so bad.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, and I know they could get well this week. They could. But I am going with the thought process that the Giants are going to be fired up. The coach is gone.
Yeah.
There's going to be a different energy. They got a lot to prove, blah, blah, blah. And they're the cheapest defense on the list. So I'm going to go with the Giants at 3,000. And so my flex is Shakir from the Buffalo game at 6,100. So here's my FanDuel lineup for this week. Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, Chase Brown, James Cook at running backs, Metcalf, Harrison, and Jennings at the receiver spots. McBride is my tight end. Shakir from Buffalo is my flex. And the defense is the New York Football Giants.
Love it. Well, I'm going to say this on the front end. I'm going to do multiple main slate lineups, and one of them is going to include Jamar Chase. I couldn't fit him in. I couldn't fit Flacco in. So I did the same thing you did. I said, the heck with it. I'm going to spend $7,000, and I'm going to use a very useful Jacoby Brissett, who's cheap, going against a San Francisco defense that last week literally could not stop the Rams at any point in that football game. The Rams called the dogs off, started the fourth quarter with 44 points on the board. Give me Brissett at home in a get-right spot. I'm going to tee him up with McBride, the tight end, who, as you mentioned, is 7,700. That's my stack on the Arizona side. I have to have some slice of that Cincy-Pittsburgh game. Like you, I went with Jaylen Warren. If you go back to the last time these teams met on October the 16th, he posted 20.8 fantasy points, and he's super cheap at 7,000. That allowed me the freedom, Randy, to use Christian McCaffrey. He's the most expensive player this week. I think he's in a really good spot indoors against Arizona. I see nothing lower than 20, maybe in the 30s for him. Yeah, I love him. I love McCaffrey, and that's where I went. And then I had to get really creative. And here's what I had to do. You're going to plug your nose here when you already
sound defeated.
Well, I spent a lot of money with McBride and McCaffrey, and they're going to have to produce. And
here's what I have to do.
Well, when you've got Jerry Jeudy staring you down in daily fantasy, yeah. But chase mode, trailing most of the game against Baltimore, quarterback that's young and feeling it, $5,700. Okay. Now, the Tez dispenser paid us last week with 2 touchdowns. We have to come back with Tez Johnson at 5,900 at Buffalo. Again, in chase mode. If I take bad teams and under-the-radar receivers, I need chase mode. Now, here's the sneaky play. We get the Kansas City's coming off the bye. Denver's coming off the mini bye, and their passing game has not looked right the last 2 weeks. Who's been missing? The X-Factor guy, Marvin Mims. He's likely to return this week, and he's $5,000 in daily. You can bet me that Denver's going to find a way to get their big play guy involved in the offense. Marvin Mims is the ultimate dart throw, but that gave me the freedom to go with a legitimate flex player who is Travis Etienne. I think Etienne's in a good spot at 6,800 to have a solid game for Jacksonville, and I'll go back to what I said about the Houston-Tennessee game. Give me one of those defenses. I want I want the Texans against Tennessee at 4,800. So I got Brissett.
Wow, you spent a lot on your defense.
I did. And I think the Texans are going to swarm that team. I think Cam Ward is a quarterback that's really looking to get sacked or turn the football over every time he drops back. So I got Brissett, Jalen Warren, McCaffrey, Judy, Tez, and Mims are my receivers. McBride, Etienne, and the Houston Texans. It should be fun.
You better go to mass on Sunday morning because you're going to need a few prayers for that one, baby.
Marvin Mims. Come on, Marvin.
Well, I'll say this about Mims. Last week in daily, Cedric Tillman was that $4,000 play that a lot of people jumped to. He didn't have a great game. I think he caught 2 passes or something, but he was $4,000, and it allowed you to play a whole bunch of different players. And I did that last week, and I ended up making money thanks to Cedric Tillman. So you can look at Mims kind of the same way, that he's coming off an injury. A lot of people aren't going to be thinking about him. And he is a dart throw, when he's healthy, he's a dart throw in a lot of different ways. So it's not a bad choice, but I would.
Randy, I want to circle back real quick to something you said on the front end of the show for season-long fantasy players. And I've been thinking about it since you said it. And I loved what you said. You've got to look at this in 3 or 4 week patterns, and you've got to put the best roster you can available. Yep. So I've been sitting on Ricky Pearsall, and in a couple leagues, I am going to drop him this week, knowing that someone's going to pick him up, and they might get a playoff bump from him, but I've got to make the playoffs, and I've got to drop this guy. And what it does is, people call it a sabotage drop. It forces their hand, and now there are going to be more players available on the waiver wire that are going to be serviceable to the teams that need them, like maybe you and I are in those spots with some of those injured players. So do not be afraid to drop Terry McLaurin, Ricky Pearsall, Garrett Wilson. I know you spent a lot of draft equity on these guys, and you've been waiting and you've been sitting on these guys. Let someone else deal with that headache. There are other players like Tez Johnson available. There are players like Jerry Jeudy that are available that can get you right now to get you into those playoffs. So I loved what you said. I just wanted to back it up.
And the only reason why I say that is that I'm in kind of desperation mode in a few of my fantasy leagues. And when I get to week 10, I always do an assessment of, have I been holding on to guys too long? Sometimes I do have a tendency to do that because I'm hopeful that they're going to be coming back and they're going to help me a lot, but that works against you too. And so you have to be realistic. If I'm sitting 6-4 in a league where I know I've probably got to finish 9-5 or 8-5 to have a chance to make the playoffs, I got to win now. I can't wait for Garrett Wilson to get healthy. And even when he gets healthy, he may not do anything anyway. So
they might not risk the injury because they're so far back.
Right. I need the bodies. I need to have some assurance that I'm going to have players to be able to put.
I loved it.
All right. Very good, Kevin. Once again, our keyword this week is haymaker. So good luck, everybody. And thanks for watching. Kevin, thanks so much. This show presented by Aquarius Home Services, brought to you by 10K Construction, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Maplewood and Wayzata. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.